Hello everyone, Tracy here, and I'm so happy to be joining you for the Galactic Collaboration Summit. Who would have thought a couple of weeks ago, or even some months ago, that we would be traveling again? And here I am, right there in your lounge, in your office, and maybe even in your car on your mobile device. I do hope that you're going to enjoy the session. And today's session is about how Microsoft 365 is the toolbox to completely enable and support the digital citizens of today and of tomorrow. I hope that you'll get a lot of value from this and that you'll find lots of tips and tricks and maybe be reminded of things that you've forgotten about. A little bit about me. I'm just a crazy pants wearing motorbike riding girl from South Africa. And my life motto and business motto and mission statement is to facilitate the evolution of human capabilities. I always say that I don't know everything, but I surely know everyone who does. So I do hope that you're going to enjoy the session and that, as mentioned, I hope that you get so much value from it. Now, first up, the things that I am going to be covering to kind of get my point across, because those who know me knows that I have a lot to say about a lot of things. So I want to talk about co-innovation. I'm going to be scrolling through all the Office 365 apps and services, and I'm definitely going to spend most of my time on that. And then I will, of course, Microsoft Teams is included in that, and of course as well co-authoring, and then just a couple of work from home tips and tricks that I've picked up. But the main focus of this session is for you to understand the mutualistic symbiosis between the apps and services and how they work together to help you achieve more. It's not about the apps working separately from each other. It really is about understanding the integration and how they support and enable each other. So let's take a look first at co-innovation. Now, co-innovation, of course, is that whole amazing little bubble where people are inspired and they start thinking of new things and they work more efficiently and they're more effective. So let's first take a look at what a digital citizen is. Now, I found this explanation or this definition, and I've definitely changed it slightly. It says the digital citizen is a person using information technology in order to engage in society, and I've scratched out politics and government. Okay, that is off my list of things a digital citizen should do. So those are the things. It's us. It's all of us out there. It's us using technology, smartphones, and just us trying to do our jobs and reach out to people and to be better than we were yesterday. So to kind of get my point across, I'm going to take you way back, light years back, to a previous version of SharePoint. Okay, and I think most of us in tech these days, in Microsoft, started somewhere in SharePoint. Now, if at all you've ever worked with older versions of SharePoint, you will remember that we were able to add specific apps in SharePoint. So, for example, we could build a calendar or a picture library or a task list or even a contact list. There was announcements and form libraries, etc., etc., etc. Now, just like SharePoint was this hub or this portal with all these different features, all these different apps that we could build to achieve something, Office 365 has actually become that. If you kind of step outside of that and you look at all the apps and services in Office 365, you kind of see that picture and more. So think of Office 365 as one big productivity app, and it's got lots of different features, and you will plug in and use the different features as you need them. It's not about the features or the apps and services working against each other. It's about how they work together and complement each other. Whenever I see people take on the whole new Microsoft and Office 365 thing, the first thing that always comes to mind for most is, of course, is they're going to have Exchange online, there's SharePoint online, of course, there's Microsoft Teams, OneDrive, etc. Do not forget how important ProPlus is in this whole mix of things, okay? That's the foundation that's been supporting you for forever, okay? So your Excel and your PowerPoint and your Word. There's been, and of course Outlook as well, there's been massive amounts of features that was released for these, for Office ProPlus apps. And I really want you to go and take a look at that, because you can definitely benefit from knowing how the AI and very, very cool things in ProPlus now support you. Of course, after that, don't forget about OneNote, your planner, Yammer as well, of course, for your communication, Stream, Forms and Sway, and then, of course, the big and almost too powerful Power Platform, which is Power Automate, Power BI, and Power Apps. So it's much, much bigger than just Microsoft Teams. I want you to fully understand what the bigger picture is behind that. If you've ever been in any of my sessions, you will know that this is something that I really hamper on, and I'm sure a lot of people are tired of it, and I can't say that I care. Digital literacy is unbelievably important for me. The 8 pillars of digital literacy, and you can see them there. I'm not going to necessarily scan through them all. These pillars are skills that we need to become digital citizens. But when we understand how Office 365 plugs into that and supports that, then maybe we'll understand and have more awareness for the need we have for these different apps and services. So take a look at this and see how, for example, creativity, PowerPoint, Sway, Stream, SharePoint, OneNote, Forms, all of those apps and services helps us to be more creative. Collaboration, of course, is looking at Teams, Yammer, Stream, etc., etc. Understand what the features are that these different apps and services bring us and what their strong points are and where to use them best. And I promise you that you will be able to be better at co-innovating, okay, and being inspired and leading by example because we use the apps and services. Now let's take a stroll through the different apps and services. I will not be covering all of them. Definitely don't have days for this. So let's see how quickly I can convince you that these apps and services are incredible. So Microsoft Stream, of course, think YouTube inside your company. In Stream, I normally create channels in which I load videos, okay? So Stream allows us to do transcripts, which then allows you to actually search for words in a specific place in a specific video. I mean, how incredible is that? You got to make sure that you go and clean up those transcripts though. So if you speak as fast as I do, it can cause trouble. You cannot share it externally at the moment, but Stream has immeasurable capability to be in edit in other apps and services. And I'll definitely show you examples of those. If I look at Stream here, you'll see that that's a specific channel in which I've loaded specific videos. So of course I can get the sharing link for a specific channel, but I can also get the sharing link for specific videos as well if I want to surface the video somewhere. I prefer to do it through using channels, which then pulls a group of videos. Here's an example of pulling a whole channel of Stream videos right into Teams as a tab. So if I surface the video channel here, it means that whenever I load a new video, it automatically shows there. So I don't expect people to actually navigate to Stream to go watch videos. I'm going to bring the content to them where they are, most probably in Microsoft Teams. So always think of it that way. Don't expect your users to navigate somewhere else. Make them get the content right where they are. So make the content come to them, okay? Right where they are. Don't make them navigate there. Here's another example of how I've added Microsoft Stream channel on a specific SharePoint page. Again, all the videos will show. I can also just load a specific video, of course. Here's a great example of embedding Microsoft Stream videos straight there into OneNote. What a great way of just pulling all that content in exactly where you are working. Now, of course, Yammer, what a brilliant idea to use this to kind of like bridge that gap when it comes to employee engagement. Of course, Yammer is available internal and external. Mobile apps can use it on the web as well. And it's now known as communities. It's had a very, very sexy revamp, by the way. So in Yammer, I can do questions, praises, I can do a short poll, I can do announcements, I can even do live events, okay? So Yammer, think of these communities that you can tap into and bring into your work environment. So knowledge sharing, I don't know, cool things, okay? Employee engagement. Here's an example of how I've brought Yammer in on a specific page on SharePoint. It's the same Yammer group that I've got there, or the same community, but I've used hashtags to actually separate and filter content. So think of your employee engagement campaign right now, maybe while people are still working from home more than they used to, because this really helps to pull people closer together. Again, that same SharePoint page that I've built with the Yammer topics on it, I can again surface inside of Teams as a tab. Here's an example, as mentioned, of pulling a Stream video on a Yammer post, but look at this as well. I can even bring in a Microsoft Sway onto a Yammer post. Again, it's all about bringing the content in where they belong, but using the correct apps and services where they're strong for the purpose of what it is that you want to achieve. Microsoft Forms, of course, is used for quizzes and for surveys. Incredible tool, available internal and external. You can even share it for people to collaborate on so they can add questions, and you can also share it just for people to fill in. It gives you a URL, it gives you embedded code, it even gives you a QR code that you can download if you want people to fill that in. Very, very mobile friendly, and it's super easy to build. please promise me that you will not be building Microsoft Forms for your leave applications or business critical apps. It's not meant for that. For that purpose, I really want you to take a look at SharePoint and Power Apps and Power Automate. Here is an example of what the form looks like in the web. There's definitely a preview for mobile as well as the desktop view. You can bring backgrounds into it, which is pretty awesome. Here's a Microsoft form that's been surfaced on a SharePoint page. Again, I'm bringing the content in where it's needed. So I brought this form in on my Yammer page in SharePoint to ask for feedback on our Yammer social groups or communities. Here's me bringing in that Microsoft form on a Microsoft Teams tab. I can also surface just the results. I don't have to just surface the survey itself. So if you want to display the results of that form, you absolutely can do so. Sway, of course, one of my favorite things. Think collaboration between PowerPoint, PDFs, Word, websites. Awesome digital tool. Can be shared internal and external. It's great to build induction packs for this and training packs, maybe invites to events, maybe sponsor packs for community conferences. What an incredible tool. You definitely need to take a look at that. Here is me embedding a sway inside of Teams on a tab. I can set it to autoplay, which means it'll just start playing on the page. There's a sway straight there on the SharePoint page. So again, I've brought it in as a web part and I can set it to start autoplaying. So it's so amazing for awareness campaigns. OneDrive, of course, and I'm pretty sure everyone's using that already. Now, OneDrive is, of course, incredible because you can use it to share links to content instead of putting attachments on documents. Of course, it's available on your desktop, so in your Explorer view, on the web, as well as on your mobile phone. The OCR is just amazing on OneDrive, okay? So the ability to take a photo of something and then search for the specific text in there. Files on demand exists to actually help you save storage space. And of course, you can use known folder move to also secure your desktop and documents and pictures libraries. It keeps 100 versions, and of course, within 93 days, you can still restore an item out of your OneDrive. This is just a quick little video clip. I'm not going to play it now. I do want you to go and take a look at it about how the OCR works, and you can take a photo on your mobile and actually search for it. And then also what OneDrive has done lately, which is incredible, is that you can actually scan to PDF and create packs of PDFs. So you can take photos of documents and then combine a single PDF. So please go and check that out. It's such an incredible tool. Of course, OneDrive also allows us to do co-authoring. Okay, so what an incredible thing. Now, through OneDrive, as well as SharePoint, as well as Teams, the co-authoring exists. And that's, of course, brought to you with the power of ProPlus. Within the Word documents, you can actually mention a specific person, mention the email address, and that will notify them that you're sharing a document with them and you'd like to collaborate with them. I'm going to just forward this a little bit and show you how it actually then shows me the person is in the document with me. It shows me a little marker to say that the person is busy editing. There you can see that the person is actually online and they've joined me inside of the document. It'll show you little markers in the document where they're busy editing it as well, and it also allows you to make comments and to chat with each other while you're doing so. So the co-authoring inside of the Office ProPlus documents really works amazing. Don't forget that through Microsoft Teams, it also works incredible. And a great tip that I do have for you is, instead of just sharing the document, if it's a document that people have to add content to on a regular basis, why don't you just add it as a tab on a team? So go load that Excel spreadsheet, but then go and add it as a tab at the top, which means that the document is always open, and it allows you to add content and also see how other people are busy making changes to the document and collaborating on the document. So the co-authoring really has been streamlined, and it honestly works incredible. This, of course, brings me to Microsoft Teams. Oh my word, it's the ultimate user adoption catalyst. I fondly refer to Teams as the gateway drug that leads to the consumption of the other drugs and services in Office 365, because it just makes it so much easier to bring everything together. Teams doesn't do everything, but it's like one of those things where it doesn't know all the answers, but it knows everyone who does. It's the perfect portal to bring all your apps and services together and to really allow for people to achieve more and find all these incredible features in one place. So if I look at Microsoft Teams, I want to remind you of something. So we all know this famous little question, okay, which one are we going to take? What I do want to remind you is that when you mix blue and red, by the way, you get purple. So I want you to think about that it's not the one or the other. I don't want you to think about the apps anymore as in when should I use Teams and when should I rather use Yammer and when is it a SharePoint thing and when should it rather be in OneDrive. Think of combining all those things and then using the specific features when it suits you to do so. And also remember to guide users so that they know when the best practice is to use specific apps. The apps definitely don't compete with each other, people. It's about mixing them all together and making them work. And like I always refer, the mutualistic symbiosis between the apps. So please remember that. Such an incredible mix of things together. If I look at the Teams framework, something very, very important for you to remember. Maybe you've not been trained up in the administration side of Teams, but I do want you to take note that when a team is created, it does the following. It creates a SharePoint site collection in the background, and that's quite big, okay? Big SharePoint site in the background, okay? It creates a shared mailbox and a shared calendar. It's got a shared planner, a shared OneNote. It's got a group that it creates for you in Stream, and it also creates a workspace in Power BI. Now, of course, all of these things happen in a split second. Now, once you have a team, you also have other features that you can be using. The ProPlus side just works incredible. So bringing in your Office documents, of course, looking at your automation and your business app optimization. So bringing in Power Apps and Power Automate, and even bringing in your Power BI, of course. The forms, the Sway, the Stream, like I've showed you, that I've brought in all along in here as well. And of course, I can add Yammer as well as a fantastic communication tool. SharePoint already sits behind it as storage, and I can actually see my files in OneDrive as well. Now, the communication part, of course, happens with what you would have known before as Skype for Business, okay? And that's been rebuilt inside of Microsoft Teams. So Skype for Business, which is now the chat and call and communication tool inside of Teams, really makes things so much easier. Of course, I can see other content and people as well using the WhoBot and seeing all the files I've recently worked with. A lot of cool things happening in the background to bring you all this content and to make things easier for you. If I look at the different ways of having conversations, so in normal conversation, of course, and I'm talking about inside of your team, I can do normal text messages. I can also make a message important. I normally just use Control-Shift-I, but you can also go to the properties and the rich text editing on that message. I can mention a specific member, and that will actually make it pop up on their machines. I can also mention the whole team, which means it makes it pop up on everyone's team. I can post announcements with banners. You'll see them there. They just make them stand out a little bit more, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, always make sure that you reply on the correct message and not start a new message. These are the conversations within your normal teams. Of course, I've got direct chat as well, and you'll see direct chat right there in the top corner. Direct chat allows me to have one-on-one or ad hoc type of chat with people that doesn't belong to a specific group. You can even have group chat. So if there's 2 or 3 people that you chat with regularly, you can create a little group chat. You just have to remember that and go search for it. Create a little group chat. And that really works well if you don't need all the resources that comes with Teams. So look at the difference between your chat and your normal conversations in Teams, of course. If I look at the type of meetings, okay, so firstly is I can use the Teams functionality to also book meetings straight from Outlook, okay? So it allows me to use the calling and video and audio capability straight from booking it from your Outlook, okay? You can also book the meetings inside of Teams and link it to specific teams. So if you have a meeting that's for HR and it's about recruitment, then you can link it to the HR and recruitment channel. Then, of course, live events. That's quite a newbie. I've done quite a couple of webinars now on live events. That's really worked out very well. So team meetings, I can have up to 250 people on it. And that's external and internal, depending on whether your company allows it. Live events allows me for 10, 1,000 people to join, which is pretty cool. Okay, again, I can set it up as public, which means that people can join anonymously from external. I can set it up just in my company, but I can also set it up to specific groups of people. So the live events really works well, and I'm pretty sure if you start taking a look at that, you'll be quite impressed. Please take note that there is some limitations on the live events. For example, at the moment, no more than 15 concurrent live events in a company can take place. And then also, at the moment, maximum of 10 presenters, because in live events, I have organizers, presenters, as well as attendees. Now let's look at those resources that can help you get going with Microsoft Teams. So these are two really great resources that I normally add for my clients. So this is actually the adoption pack for Microsoft Teams. So if you go and search for the adoption resources Microsoft, you'll find Teams. And this is a URL that you can grab to a flip book that Microsoft has built. So it's this digital book that you can page through. And if you take that URL, you can actually add it inside of a team as a tab. So why don't you go and add that to help people learn more? They can page through it, they can watch little videos, they can look at infographics. It's a really incredible tool. The next one that I use very often as well is the teamsdemo.office.com. Again, if you go to that URL, you'll see that you can actually click through and see what the different features and things are inside of your Microsoft Teams. This is really incredible resources to help people to achieve more. Also remember that you have the command box at the top. So if I go /help there, I'll find all the help and training material that I need for Microsoft Teams. So just a recap, chat is my direct chat between people, ad hoc chat. Teams are specific groups that I belong to, and of course, as mentioned, there's different types of conversations that you can have. So be careful of still be sending those emails. I want you to rather start using the Teams and start using the conversations instead of still sending emails to the same group of people as well. And be very careful to mention that whole team every time. People might get annoyed with it. So make sure that people understand that you've moved across to Teams now and that they don't have to look at emails for anything from you. But if you belong to a team and a group of people together, that you'll find all the conversations as well as the files and the content inside of that team. Just a reminder about the Power Platform. Okay, now the Power Platform sits behind this as well and makes a lot of magic happen. So the Power Platform, of course, consists of your Power Apps, which is used to capture the data. It's used Power Automate to manage the processes. Power BI is in there as well to get and gain insights. And of course, Microsoft has added the virtual agents to engage conversationally. What an incredible platform. So once you understand all the apps and services in Office 365 and how they work together, you can start focusing on the Power Platform to optimize or automate processes. But first, let's streamline those and see how they work together. There's incredible features in Office 365, and I really would like you to understand what they do better before you start automating processes, because a lot of time we have apps and services that already does it and you don't have to custom build something from scratch. Now next up, and this would definitely be different based on where you're from, what it is that you work with, and what's important to you. In South Africa specifically, our work from home tips is much more based on bandwidth. So you'll see that my tips is definitely more focused on saving bandwidth as well, especially if you're working on low to no connectivity environments. So the tips that I'd like to share with you might be very much based on that. So the first thing as a work from home tip from me to you is that you need to stay up to date. This is very important. The more you stay up to date, the more you'll know about features that are being released and the faster you can be at the things you do. Please build this into what you do every day. If you take 5 minutes every day to learn something, that is the equivalent of 4 days a year. So try and stay up to date, because I do think that it can help you loads. Then I want you to know the product and know the features well. Again, go and look at the Microsoft 365 roadmap. Look at what's new in Office 365. Go get the Microsoft 365 learning pathways if you're not sure, and have them install it on your company tenant. But stay up to date and know the features well. If you know the product and you feel enabled, you will be more efficient and you won't feel lost and you won't feel like nothing is making sense. And reach out. There's so many of us at the moment doing free webinars. I'm doing loads of free webinars, and I'm willing to help you on social media. So reach out and speak up if you're not sure. The community in Microsoft is incredible. They're always willing to help. So please stay up to date, keep on learning, and ask questions. Then also, depending on your bandwidth, like I said, I'm very focused on South Africa because we don't have great bandwidth. Now, I always suggest to people, if you do have cable, try and work on cable versus just working on a Wi-Fi. So if you can plug into cable from your router, that's normally the most stable thing for me to work from. Then also, when you're presenting in Teams meetings or live events or something, it actually apparently uses less bandwidth if you don't share the whole screen, but only share the specific app like PowerPoint, etc. So that definitely helps. And something that I also do is on situations with low bandwidth or struggling poor network quality, maybe sometimes we only share the video in the first minute or two just to say hi to everyone, and then we go off video and we just stay on audio. So that's definitely something that's been helping me. Also, make sure that everyone, whether it's yourself or whether it's the people that you work with, understands the dangers of tethering on mobile data. Again, I might be focused on South Africa because I definitely don't want your machine to run a Windows update on your mobile data and it to cost a lot of money. So make sure that you understand the concept of metered services, or understanding how the connection to your mobile phone actually works, so that you don't have unnecessary costs for data. Then, of course, you can sync the SharePoint sites behind your Microsoft Teams down to your PC. So that's incredible because it allows you to work offline, and it then makes and backs up the data to the cloud when you go online again. Please remember that when you do sync the Teams SharePoint sites down, that you're a co-owner of that content. You're not the owner of the copies on your PC. So if you've synced the human resources Teams data down to your PC, remember that whatever changes you make will sync back to the cloud. So be very careful to select documents and just delete them, because you're working together as a team. Then, of course, you can also sync the OneNotes in your Microsoft Teams down to your PC. If you go to the OneNote in your Microsoft team and you say open an app, it'll actually force it down to open on your desktop, which again means that you can work in offline mode. Always be careful of working on content in offline mode though. If you're on a Microsoft team and you're working on a document and someone else is working on a document in offline mode, of course, it's going to update the first document that goes online or live, okay? And then it'll just keep on replacing it. So make sure that documents that you should be co-authoring on is rather done in while all connected and in co-authoring mode and not in offline mode. Offline mode should really only be used for your own documents that no one else should be working on, if that makes sense. So go and look at the OneNote as well that you can open up on your PC, because it really saves a lot of time and it saves me a lot of data, okay? And something that I thought of earlier on is that just like we have physical offices, when it helps me to pack and unpack my office and get things straight, OneNote really helps me to calm the chaos in my life, okay? So you might be very concentrated just on your PC at the moment, and this has become your whole office. The best thing to do is to structure your thoughts and your files and your life by using OneNote, and of course looking at decent naming conventions in your OneDrive as well. And please remember, if you do pause the sync of your OneDrive, don't just pause it forever. Just pause it for a specific time. Say pause it for 2 hours or 8 hours if it is causing hassles because you're on a meeting, etc. I do hope that you're going to be absolutely okay with all these cool new features that you can use to just be more efficient and work more effectively. I want to thank you for joining us at the Galactic Collaboration Summit. It's been an unbelievable honor for me to be part of this. And I do hope that we'll all catch up soon. And of course, if you have any questions, please reach out. And I promise you that before we can even blink an eye, we'll be at a conference again somewhere in the world, and we can have a cup of coffee and chat and catch up. So please take care. Have an awesome conference. I hope that you learn a lot and keep on sharing the love. And like I always say, #learning through sharing. So the more you share it with other people, the more you'll learn. Take care from South Africa.
Thank you for being a part of the Galactic Collaboration Summit. Join the community and meet in-person world-class Microsoft and MVP speakers this autumn in Wiesbaden, Frankfurt, Germany, with 15 full-day tutorials and over 150 Microsoft 365 and Azure sessions at the combined European Collaboration Summit and European Cloud Summit from 26 to 28 October 2020. Community rocks.